All right. What is going on, everybody? And welcome back to Serious Angler. Back again with the Fantasy Fishing crew. We got the whole squad in here, plus a special +1. We figured you guys might be getting sick of some armchair quarterbacks and want to hear what's actually going on from a pro's perspective. So we have Mr. Jonathan Kelly joining us down here in the bottom left corner. And of course, we got the whole crew up top here with the captain. We got Deakin, myself, and Brennan and Boomer as well. So we got the whole squad in tonight. And we have one more guest coming on tonight that you'll see in about 15 or 20 minutes here. So we're trying to pull out all the stops here for Bassmaster Classic week.
It's a big week. March Madness, baby. Super Bowl.
Super Bowl is here. The good stuff right here.
I want to say it was Mercer said it on his most recent show. He said championship? No, I think it was Pangrak said on his recent show, it was like championship week. He said he's going to call it now from now on because you have Red Crest Classic and March Madness. It's basically championship month at this point, at the month of March. But it's a fun time in fishing because there's a lot going on. But I guess first things first is quick shout out to Dustin Connell for a second Red Crest championship win. We actually had plans to get DC on the show, so just know that is coming up, as well as been talking with Alton Jr. and we'll get Alton Jones Jr. back on the show. He's been on several times. Another second place finish, which is also just as impressive, being bridesmaid that many times. So just know those guys are going to be coming on the show. And as we start getting into Classic here, we're quickly going to go through Lake Fork, go through the points, go through the winners, things like that, and obviously get with our guy here who actually fished one of the biggest events in Bassmaster Elite Series history.
The biggest beatdown in history. Top to bottom.
That's right. Well, we'll get your whole perspective on that, but there's one thing I want to say before we get into the Fork recap, that we got to give credit where credit is due. And there is a comment here that I remember vividly. I think it was day 2, or no, actually it was like midway through day 1 when I saw Lee Livesey only had 3 fish. And I remember this comment specifically that we literally went into this guy saying there's no way in hell that Lee Livesey isn't going to catch him. And he was right.
I remember that. I remember that too. We were like, there is no picture in my mind where this could happen. And it was like, oh, we got absolutely throttled.
Yep. This guy, Bass Fanatic here, told you guys Lee wasn't going to contend at Fork. And we are men enough to admit that you were right. We were wrong. And never do we want to ever talk about this in a light manner, because Lee Livesey is an awesome guy. I don't like to see any of these guys on the trail flop, but he called it. He did call it. So got to give happens. Yeah.
Isn't Lee still winning the math here, though? Wouldn't you still probably want to take Lee on paper every time?
Yeah. I mean, I'd still take him again.
Yeah, I'm taking him. If we're here next year, I'm taking him again. No question. But yeah.
Yeah, read the whole thing, same time, same conditions. I'm probably still going to take Lee. I mean,
taking Lee next year, but also that sucked. Yep.
So, Jonathan, amongst your peers, was there some murmur of I can't believe Lee didn't catch him? Was there some of that between you guys?
You don't really hear that a lot amongst the anglers. One, we're just not around each other a lot, other than just in the tanks and the weigh-in lines. But I think all of us kind of understand that even though someone's a local, we're still human. We're still fishermen. It's not a guarantee. And I know a lot of fans and outsiders, they view it as, well, it's a guaranteed lock for a local to do good. And when you're local at a lake, you get a lot of pressure. Lot going into a lot of high expectations, and you might have an upper hand. You might know a couple extra spots here and there that might specifically hold fish. You go into practice already having some ammo in your tank. But I've always gave a lot of credit to guys who are locals for fishing their local lake, because I can't imagine, I don't have a local lake just where I'm from, but I can't imagine that kind of pressure going into a tournament. Not even just a tournament week, but the whole month, 2 months, 3 months, the whole preparation going into it. It's gotta be totally I can only imagine. And it's fishing. It's not guaranteed. We're literally chasing creatures that swim. So it's even though you've fished there your whole life, you grew up there, it's still not a guarantee. So I don't discredit any guy if they have a tough if they have a tough time when they're local, it happens. It always does. And you see it everywhere. It's not just like, Lee had a tough tournament at Fork. It happens to everyone. Like if we go back there next year, the same time, I can guarantee he'll be in the top 10.
Yeah. You had to imagine in the afternoon, day 1, 3 fish still, there were some voices in his head.
Oh, I'm sure. I'd be curious to know, like, was he like running around like crazy, or was he kind of just sitting somewhere just thinking, okay, if it turns on in this last hour, I'm going to jack 35 pounds, 40 pounds. Like I just wonder what went through his mind that whole time.
That's what creates the pressure leading into it, is knowing going into it that it's going to be one of two worlds. It's going to be the best day ever or the worst feeling in the world, but for sure.
And it's not like he just competed the last 2 times he was there. He like blew it away, right?
Dominated.
The pressure, that is so much pressure. You know what I mean? You can win, you've done it before, and everybody's talking about it. They gave him like 70-some%, didn't they? Wasn't it something like insane for that bucket?
You had to be like a record, honestly.
We're talking about the same guy that's won the 2 previous times. It's like, look at all pro sports. Like you hardly ever see teams go back to back and win.
That's a good point.
For him to have done it 3 in a row, that would have been insane.
Yeah,
right.
I agree. Totally agree.
Yeah. Well, recapping Fork quick, any other takeaways before we roll through the points beyond the obvious smash fest that went down?
Dude, I think we just continue to see the dominating rookie class, right? I mean, these young guys with scope are just, incredible, man. And that's not just scope, right? Like there was also the going and fishing a dock and fishing some up shallow too. But I have been just absolutely blown away, and I just love it and kind of continue to see it as it goes.
Yeah. That last day was, one thing that was cool that they showcased was Trey went and fished shallow for a decent amount of the last day, which was a cool showcase, and I'm sure a breath of fresh air for some folks. But man, like talk about the number. So top 10 obviously all having century belts. But I think like say this was like the NPFL format where say like the top 40 got to fish on the last day too. Like John, how many century belts do you think we would have seen on the last day if 4 guys were able to fish?
If you sent 40, I would say 40.
Yeah.
Like let's backtrack it up a little bit. The fishing was tougher than obviously looked. It always is. Like it wasn't like they were jumping in the boat, even for Trey who won the tournament. Like he was still working hard, grinded. Like I myself grinded. Like I caught probably more fish than anyone else. I was more on a shallow deal, catching numbers, hoping to try to come across 2 to 3, 4 big ones a day. But as the tournament went on, I kind of had to learn and shift and this and that, but it's hard to say. It really is. So going into the tournament, I really thought that it was kind of going to be a lot easier just because we were on a fork. And it was a lot more challenging than I thought to get bites in practice. So when you saw the weights, and I know I had buddies that texted me after the event, they were like, it's so cool. It's like 6-pounder, 7-pounder, 8-pounder, 9-pounder, 6-pounder. I was like, yeah, it might look like that on Bass Track, but when we're actually on the water individually, like, it's like, okay, we catch 6-pounder, 45 minutes goes by. We don't catch another one. And it's like, then you finally run into a 7-pounder and it's like, okay, then you run into 2 2s and it's like, well, those 2 2s are meaningless. So it's like, it took some guys throughout the day a while to catch their 25 to 30 pounds. So it was work. And I definitely want to stress that. I know a lot of people thought it was super easy.
Yeah. Like a lot of guys are saying it's like 6 to maybe 8 bites a day. Like 8 bites were a really good day.
Yeah. And then like going back to like, if they sent top 40, I think all 40 would have had a chance. Cause it's just like, if you kept an open mind and didn't get stuck somewhere, it seemed like you could eventually run into 2 or 3 big ones. So the chance of catching another 20-pound bag was there. Probably everyone in that top 40, which I think probably most of them only needed 20, 21, 22 to make that century belt. So I think it would have been pretty cool. I know that backstage they were like, I think they should just send all 40 or whoever's on pace for 100, they should send. I heard someone say that. That's an awesome idea.
If they're within 40, send them.
Well, that's what I said. I was like, yeah, but if you do that, you got to consider, like, what if you send someone that is still 40 pounds off. Like the chance of them catching 40 is possible.
Yeah, it should be a consolation day, the day after day 4, of like just to go get a belt.
They should have on Monday. They should have sent 11 to 50 again.
Go chase the belt,
Had
boys.
us recompete for those places.
Yeah.
I feel like I got gypped.
That's
All right.
crazy.
Any other takeaways before we start running down through these points and start getting into the classic? Anything else? All right. So, recapping the Lake Fork event in terms of our standings here in this group, we have rounding out the caboose is the captain, Mr. Andy Full, 863 points.
Crushed it.
Justin Largen, of course, could not make it tonight. He is actually tomorrow is day 1 of his event for the Bassmaster Kayak on 10 Killer. So he's getting ready and prepared for that. But he was in 5th with 889. Actually, excuse me. I didn't even see Brendan all the way down there with 760 points. So you were in the caboose.
Yeah.
I didn't even see him. He says, I didn't see him back there.
It's even worse that you just now recognized it. Now it's even more embarrassing. Thanks.
Oh, that was so bad.
May or may not
This
have
is the worst night ever.
3 people, and he goes, "Oh, Brennan, I'm sorry."
Oh, Brennan, I completely missed you.
The best part is that Brennan didn't speak up either. You didn't hear Brennan go, "Oh wait."
No,
Like,
I knew I lost, believe me, but I'm like, oh, cool. Yeah, he forgot. And then now this is embarrassing. Moving on.
Super
May or may
cool.
not have done that
Nope.
on purpose.
Thanks.
And in 3rd is myself with 929. 2nd with 969 is Deakin. And then our last season's champion back on top with 1,041 points, Mr. Boomer. So
I
with
didn't
that,
take Lindsay.
Yeah, he had one
Well,
down
I think
event.
only
Now
one.
he's coming for revenge. You know,
I didn't
Were you
take
the
Lee.
only one that didn't pick Lee? Is that why you won?
probably.
Had to been.
I took Polikanik and he pulled his head out. Yeah.
Sounds like someone has some insider information on this.
Yeah.
Boomer.
He does.
We've been
why do you
saying
think
that
we
for
brought you
weeks.
on, Josh? So in the grand scheme of things so far after 2 events, the standings are as such. We got Brennan rounding out the caboose in 6th. In 5th place, we have Andy. 4th place, we got Boomer. 3rd place, Justin. 2nd place, myself. And then leading right now after 2 events, Mr. Adam Deakin.
We're staging a comeback. All right.
Dude.
See how
That's all
long
we're
that
doing.
lasts. Yeah, that's right. And with that, let's quickly go through Drain the Lake. We got in the Brendan, you got to figure something out, man.
I had a bad week, man.
Brennan, you gotta figure something out, man.
Blame it on the Wi-Fi. So we got in 6th place with 2,617 points, Mr. Brennan Chapman, and with 1 more point in 5th is Justin Largen. In 4th is myself. 3rd, the captain, and 2nd, Adam Deakin. Well, actually, tied for 1st is Boomer and Adam Deakin with 3,251. Can't say I've ever seen a Drain the Lake tied just yet. It's pretty stout, boys.
We'll take it.
You're leading third.
Northwest representing.
Yeah, I guess so. You guys
That's right.
got nothing else to do up there because there's not as much fishing, so you just do fantasy fishing.
Hey, there's some surprising amount of fishing. There's just not enough bass fishermen. I think that's what I've learned.
Yeah. It's like we don't talk about Fight Club. We don't talk about Northwest fishing.
We just not talking about it.
Speaking of
Rule
which,
number
Boomer,
1,
did you see
yeah.
that 10-pounder caught in Washington? It's like
I
10,
didn't.
15. It's a green one. I don't know what lake it was on, but it was in a tournament in Western Washington.
Deacon, he just said
Really?
Fight Club. You don't talk about it, bro.
Don't talk about
I
Fight Club.
had to give a little something.
So, like one of the biggest fish that we've caught in the Northwest was a 10-pounder that came out of Banks Lake, and Deacon's been there, and that's like our big tournament lake. But that was back
That came
when
out of
Mike,
Banks?
Mike
Oh,
Long.
my God.
Remember when Mike Long, before he got caught, was driving around catching big bass in one lake and then taking them to another? Well, the guy that set the record on Banks had just got back from a trip from California, like that day. So a lot of us are like, that.
Interesting.
Yeah, that was a real. It's got all the rumors behind it, and then Mike gets caught. Right, everyone's like, Wait a minute.
Light
This guy
bulb.
knew.
Wait a second.
That's right.
Well,
Anyway,
Awesome.
so great start. First two events. Probably one of the biggest weights we're going to see throughout the year for sure, being so close to breaking the 4-day record at 19 years old. So congrats again to Trey McKinney. Great show he did with Mercer. If you guys haven't listened to that one yet, encourage you to. Mercer's been killing it with the shows lately. But let's talk Bassmaster Classic, Grand Lake. We are back. Any first impressions, ideas, theories that you guys have going into this week for the Classic?
Well, I'm pretty sure it's going to be probably one of three baits. Cricket tickling a minnow or some type of crankbait spinnerbait deal in a jig.
What about a jerk bait?
Oh,
What are-
jerk bait.
Yeah,
jerk
Grand
bait.
Lake of
I
the
don't-
Cherokees.
I don't know what
Jerk
the
bait.
water temp is.
Oh,
So,
dude.
guess-
Well, you asked that, Andy. I can bring that up for you.
there
right
you
now.
go. See, there we go.
But while I pull this up, a side bet to keep your eyes on is I don't know if anybody watched the Fast Talk live show with Kyle Patrick, but they have a side bet where if Kyle Patrick ever brings out the jig head minnow throughout the Classic, he owes Panger a grand.
Oh,
Well, he might as well give him the grand before he
Yeah.
makes the first pass. I can guarantee he'll have it on his deck.
Cut the
first
check.
day.
Yeah, it's like might as
Especially
well
after
just
the
send that
first two
PayPal
events.
over right now.
well, I will tell you that we're developing a scope rod, and it's pretty dope. And I offered to overnight it to a few of our staffers, and one of them turned it down,
Meaning he's catching them on the bank? Is that what you're saying?
saying that I don't need a scope rod for this derby. And I was like, really? I almost couldn't believe it.
Cranking.
Mhm.
Well, we have right here a screenshot here of the Omnia Fishing Premium Pro app with the temperature layer of Grand Lake at the moment, which perfect timing. They launched it yesterday. Is they are having a $49 Omnia Premium Pro rebate going on right now. So if you spend the $49 to get Premium Pro, they will give you $49 back. So if you do the math, if you're bad at math like me, basically that is free
a
Premium
win.
Pro. Yeah. So now's the time to get it because you get all the map layers in addition to getting 10% back on all of your orders. But guys, looking at this from the temperatures of the lake here on this map, you know, Jonathan, I guess throwing it to you quick as the guy that would be, you know, you're going to, obviously not, you're in the Classic right now, but if you were going into Grand Lake here, what are the first things you're seeing that pops out to you with how the temperatures are laying out?
First thing I see is about mid-lake, the big creek pocket that goes up. The entire right side bank is warm. Just down, yeah, right there.
Let me zoom in here for you. This side here.
Yep, right there. Like that's literally stands right out.
Is that warmer than the brighter color?
Yeah.
Obviously.
So like warmer colors, you know, that yellow, orange, red could be warmer water.
That's like strange to me though to see that, because I would have think the straight across from it on the west side would have been warmer because of like the sun hitting that first.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how deep it is, obviously not seeing like the contours, but you know, just initial thought, you would think for the most part the west side would be a little warmer. But when you see that whole right side going into the back of a creek there with warmer water, I feel like that's almost an obvious first place this time of the year for those fish to pull into, get off that main, and you kind of still are going to be able to have those guys in the middle scoping before those fish pull up in along the bank.
Right.
That's a
Well-
big scope area too. Like, I had Red Crest there a couple years ago. Evers started in there. That whole flat. He's right. I think that warm water comes from. That's not the elk that comes in right there. That's I can't remember. But that river arm that comes in is warm, and a lot of guys will go all the way through there and fish a lot of that river early. I think that Christie was in there that Classic a couple of years ago. But that's that flat spot that's all warm is covered with brush piles.
Isn't that where Evers started with the flap slap in that Classic that he ended up winning in elk like the first 2 days? It was
Yes.
kind of cold. He was catching
I'm
on
pretty
a
sure.
mega bass flap slap.
Yeah,
Well-
if you go back to that picture, that spot just outside of it, right where the main rivers is, where you see where the main river, right there, that point right there, didn't Cliff Pace one right in the mouth of that. Remember that Classic was really cold? Yeah, he won right in the mouth of that. On the deeper stuff before they went back and into the big flats back there.
Well, we do have here in the queue, about to add him in, we do have a Grand Lake expert here to join us to kind of give us the hometown scoop. So we have Bassmaster Elite Series Pro, Mr. John Sokup here to join us. What's going on, John?
What's going on?
I had to get on a podcast to chase down Jake to have a conversation. He's unfriended me since I've been hurting his fantasy teams. He told me he's no longer speaking.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Yeah.
I still picked you.
Yeah, that was wrong. That was a mistake.
Well, John, looking at Grand Lake and seeing the temperature map they put up and everything, what are you seeing? What is your first impressions of how this week might lay out for the guys?
Man, I don't need to see a temperature map. I'm in Oklahoma, and I've been in Oklahoma since I was born. I see the redbuds blooming, the dogwoods are blooming. I'm starting to cough. The cars are getting green from the, all the pollen. But it's just not quite there yet. And we're a little early. So you are going to have the opportunity somewhere for some guys, and I don't know if they could win, but there is an opportunity for some guys to run the bank really hard right now. There's some fish that are going to be up pretty shallow in that 3 to 5 foot and shallower range. Whether you're there, I think you're going to see some guys doing like Paul Nick did back 10 years ago and did really well with the square bills. I mean, there's going to be some potential, some things like that happen that are outside the realm of the live scope and minnow. Now, I'm not saying that that's not a way to blow the tournament away if somebody's got that connected, because that's always a deal. But the Grand Lake's always kind of known for 3 different sections. You got the lower lake, which is around that horse area down. You've got the mid lake section, which is that kind of that horse to wolf area, and then you've got the upper river portion of things. And the river is actually what allowed Edwin Evers to blow the Classic away, but it's such a risky maneuver that I don't know if it happens. It'll be really interesting. It'll be really fun, because if somebody finds some backwaters where they're doing that, it will be a shallow flipping deal, a jig deal, maybe a spinnerbait deal. From the research that I've done with the guys that are local, Grand Lake right now is normal, level, and it's super clear. So a lot of the older school spinnerbait stuff that we've seen in the past happen, it may not play as much. So we're looking more at, jerk baits and things of that nature. But I think there's going to be a lot of solid top 15 finishes in that mid lake area. If somebody can connect with them down lake, if they can find it and make it happen, which those fish are going to be a little bit later, obviously. So they're going to be more like, winter pre-spawn. And if they can transition over this next week from winter to pre-spawn, there could be some giant bags caught down there. But that mid lake area is known for a lot of 20-pound sacks. A lot of you catch a lot of 3.5, 4.5 pounders in the mid lake area.
Why do you think it's so clear? I mean, is that something that's not something really normal for Grand, is it?
No. I mean, we just haven't had that portion. Kansas has to have rain. The water comes from Kansas, and it's just not happened. We've got quite a bit of rain in southern Oklahoma this year, so some of those lakes are dirtied up. But that's what happens with it. We did have some zebra mussels get into Grand about 10 years ago, and it was really affecting it. We haven't heard as much about it lately, but they're still obviously there. So, if there's not a lot of nutrients coming in the water, it clears that pretty quick down lake.
So with how the practice structure is for the Classic, having ending practice, having a couple days, and of course they get to go out on, I think is it Wednesday that they get to go back out for their last official practice day. How susceptible is Grand Lake to quick changes from a day or two that they don't get to be on the water? How much can change, and how fast could it change with Grand?
It can happen overnight. It can happen overnight with Grand. We saw that with Edwin Evers win. I know a little bit about that area that he won in, and like a north wind blowing situation. Like there's certain wind directions in certain areas that really affect things. The weather looks like it's going to be a little calm day one, but it's going to start building up in wind on day 2 and 3. And I'm not seeing a lot of sunshine, guys, in the weather forecast. So we really don't have the temps and the sunshine to jump that water into the 70s. We've got what it takes for that water to be from 52 to about, maybe somebody will find 65, but 60 to 52 to 60 is going to be really common for guys to find. And usually it takes it doesn't have to stay at 70, but it usually has to like at least touch 70, you know what I mean? For them to really, really get in the backs of stuff. So if guys are running the backs of anything, I think they're going to have to be creative, and they're going to have to burn areas and find a new area. They're going to have to have 3 different areas where they just burn it to the ground, burn it to the ground, burn it to the ground. 3 days in a row.
John, were you going to say something there?
I said there's a lot of wind for Sunday.
Yeah, so we got the weather forecast pulled up here showing, we'll lead in the day before Thursday. Thursday showing mid to high 40s overnight with showers and 70 degrees. Friday, 72, partly cloudy with northeast wind at 10. Saturday dropping down to 66, but the 50s overnight, partly cloudy, east-northeast wind at 9. And then Sunday has a south-southeast wind, similar temperatures at over 21 miles per hour. How does a south-southeast wind affect Grand?
Well, I mean, a lot of the best areas, it's good, but it's going to affect the scopers. It's going to really affect them, especially if they found them in more of the winter staging areas than the pre-spawn areas. So that would be the day that you may see someone like a Jason Christie do some old school stuff and come in with a big sack. There might be some really aggressive power fishing able to go on day 3 with that wind blowing, whether it's around docks or whether it's up in the shallow. We got this thing on Grand, and it happens in the Ozark Lakes where these fish will transition from chunk rock to pea gravel, and they go up there and they get their belly right on it, and they warm in the sun and stuff like that. So there's going to be a lot of shallow cranking, and if it's not quite active, there'll be a lot of jerk baiting in like 0 to 5 foot, on these shallow points, and those can be in main lake points as well. So look for somebody crazy finding them down lake. They're not there yet, but the full moon's coming on Thursday. The females start moving in. The males are moving to the back. The females are moving up. They're kind of trading spots, and something magical kind of happens. But in my experience, unless you've really connected with those fish, you're kind of swinging for it really hard, which is the classics. The guys are going to do it, right? So I think you're going to see a lot of guys from horse up to wolf probably doing the same thing that I'm talking about, but they're going to be catching a lot more fish. Their average fish is going to be 3.5 pounds, and they're going to catch an occasional 5. So there'll be a lot of 18-pound sacks in that region.
That's going to be an interesting layout. Well,
is that your take, John? You think like 18 a day?
No, I think it's gonna be 61 to 63. I don't know like how accurate I need to be in that, but I definitely think it's gonna be over 20 a day. I think someone's gonna have like a 22.5 pound day, then maybe a 19-pound day, and then maybe a 20-pound day. Whatever that averages out to be. I think it's gonna be more of the 63-pound range. And to be honest with you guys, I'm just as baffled as probably every Elite Series pro is out there. The way the elite guys are catching them right now and like getting better and better and better and better, they're just pulling the juice out of everywhere they stop. So Grand is full of 20-pound sacks. I've fished tons of tournaments there, coming with 19, 20 pounds, and you're not even in the top 20. It only took 22 or 23 to win, but there's just 20 pound, 20 pound, 20 pound, 20 pound. It's full of 4-pounders. So I don't necessarily know that it's going to be the guy that figures out how to get a 6 to 8 pound bite that's going to win, unless he knows how to also fill his sack with those 4-pounders. So I think that consistent 4-pound bite's going to really, it'll make a run for it. At least it'll put a lot of guys in the top 10.
So one thing that I thought was interesting, I looked at the Toyota Series on Grand Lake last year. It was March 16th through 18th, almost the same the same weekend we're in now. So I don't know what the weather was then. Obviously, Toyota Series, you can throw an A-rig. So that I think has some factor there. So that took last year to win it. Blake Capps won it with 59.06 last year. And he won by almost 7 pounds. Michael Harlan took second with 52.04. So I guess what does that break out to? Just about that 20 pounds a day in 3-day in Toyota Series stuff. So I think that's kind of right on par with what that was. And I don't know if John, if you were around during that time in March last year, I'm sure you were traveling and that sort of a thing, but I wonder what the weather difference was, from last year to this year.
Yeah, I don't remember it being as warm as this year. I know that.
Okay.
I've also been on Grand on April 1st. It was literally, I remember this day because it was the best fishing day I've ever had. My dad and I were there. It was April 1st. It was sleeting and snowing, 20-something degrees on April 1st. And the fish had not, hadn't even spawned yet. So they were just stacked and we were just catching the snot out of them. So it can change really fast. But I think that there's going to be some fish push up and try. But I've also been on the water and on lakes around Grand, not necessarily on Grand myself. And they're just not doing it yet. You know what I mean? Somebody that finds it, if they've taken the risk and ran some crazy backwater up the river and they've got a little honey hole and they do that Kevin Van Dam prediction thing where they're not here now, but they will be tomorrow, and they guess it right. It could happen, but I don't think they're going to be able to do it 3 days in a row. So I think your constant guys to look out for the guys going to be in that mid lake, the guys that have got a little bit of a couple different things going on. They can go up to the points and stuff and catch them, jerk baiting and then they can also, back off and do a little bit of live scoping. I think that's going to be probably how a couple big ones are caught. For sure.
I will add, you will have a lot less anglers compared to that Toyota Series as well on the water fishing. That makes a big difference. Yeah, these guys probably aren't beating the place up the past week when they're practicing versus the Toyota Series week. It's a lot of fish get stuck during practice.
Dude, that is a great point.
I've also been on the water in Grand in March when it was 30 degrees and you couldn't catch a fish because it was a big shad kill. And where 12 pounds was a top 10. I've seen that happen on Grand before too, where half the field blanks, in a big team tournament. So, but we just are not having those conditions. We're having very, very good conditions that are building up to, I think it's building up for a power fisherman's deal. This is what it's building up to be.
That's awesome. That would be quite the show. If you guys have anything else for John, I guess last thing, John, for you, if you were to be asked, who would be your pick to win the Classic in your eyes?
I don't know how. I just don't know how you're really going to see Christie out there. I don't know if everybody really realizes how dominant he was. My oldest son, 16, his first steps in a bass boat were in Jason Christie's bass boat on a BFL in a Walmart parking lot. That guess what? It was parked there because he was waiting for his trophy, his super tournament that he just won. So, man, I just I know the odds are against somebody that's been that close and that body of water so much, but I really think that he's got a top 5 in him again.
Yeah, I think this is very similar to what we were just talking about beginning in the show of we're on Lake Fork. How do you can't not go with Livesey? It's kind of one of those deals. I feel like for Grant on this case, you're kind of crazy if you don't pick Christie in this one.
Yeah, it's not just Christie on Grant, but it's on Christie on Grant on this time of year too. You go back and look at the BFL wins. He's won a lot of tournaments, slow rolling spinnerbait and stuff this time of year. And I think he knows, when it does pop off, when they do stage, I think he knows that one stump that's in the back of that one pocket that he can run to, make a few casts at and get out. As long as he doesn't have 100 boats fall on him like last time, as long as people are, that's going to be the deal with if Christie can move around and function the way he needs to, he's going to be a lot more dangerous than if he's got 50 boats to 100 boats fall on him.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember who it was we were talking with, but there's that picture from Hartwell, not the one he won, but the one that he lost in the last day that was leading into day 3, where there was one cut he was in, and it was 150 boats in this little creek with him. It was how do you try to compete with that? It's almost impossible. You got that much just disrupting everything. But
I
yeah,
was his camera boat, whatever year that was that he lost to Edwin, and the chase boat, not you know what I mean. And he had when he turned around and had a run out of an area, he would have to idle for 10 or 15 minutes instead of getting on pad, and he did everywhere he stopped. So and it was just so. I mean, he must have lost. I've heard people say 45 minutes. He must have lost an hour and a half. And plus, it's the mental game that it changes the way you fish. So I mean that could be a huge factor. You know, I mean, it really, really, really could if he doesn't. But if he doesn't have that, I think these fish are up shallow enough. There's a lot of guys scoping for the right reasons, right? It's dominating. Everybody knows if they can figure it out scoping, they can blow this thing away. I think Jason has enough old school, shallow 3 to 5 foot spots that don't need scope in them that he can run. That it could be really dangerous.
Heck yeah. Well, fellas, you guys got anything left for John here? No? Well, John, seriously appreciate you taking the time to give us the full download to these us. I mean, obviously we got Jonathan Kelly here, but he speaks for all of us armchair quarterback. We got nothing to say about Grand Lake. So we appreciate it, man, for real. And looking forward to seeing you this week, man.
Yeah. Come check us out at the Save More booth. Got a Save More booth going on, kind of our grand opening.
Yeah, we'll be sure to come by there. Anything else people should know for you this week if they're going to the Classic beyond come to the Save More booth?
No, all I know right now is business. I just got my boat back today, so that was nice.
You break it?
Yeah, I broke it. I put a hole in it on forks, and I missed a day and a half practice, and I had to fish out of another borrowed boat, and I let that bother me on day one, but then I let it, go, and then I caught him again on day two. But so since then, I've probably been on the phone 2 hours every day. The boat went back to the Blazer took it. They went all the way back to Florida. They pulled the hole off, replaced the hole, got it rewrapped, and it came to me today. And I spent the last 6 hours re-rigging it. So
wow,
it's been it's just a part of the. Meanwhile, we got to get do business and stuff like that. So I'm sure that Jonathan's got stories like that too. But the last 2 or 3 years, I think I've had to re-rig two boats in the last 2 seasons for sure. Double wrapped.
I know.
You think you get started and it just starts over.
That could be a nightmare. I feel for you. Last year after St. Clair on the way home, got into an accident, hour from the house. So I had a week and a half to get a new boat, fully rig it, and get up to Champlain and all that. I can only imagine it'd be worse in your case during the actual event itself. So I feel for you.
Oh, gosh. That's insane.
Yeah.
Well, John,
sorry. In the MPFL, the only person I wouldn't have loaned a boat to was John. I remember, I think it was, what was it, Harris chain? What was it where I had to get under the bow of the boat and lift up so you could get it on the trailer?
Hey, I don't think people know that I went through a whole season where after every event, I'm in the parking lot and I'm putting Flex Seal and Gorilla Tape underneath my hole for an entire after every event. And when we finally just said, hey, it's too much, man, the gap was like that wide all the way down the center. Like after every single event, Gorilla Tape wasn't. I mean, the Flex Seal would make it not leak, but Flex Seal was so soft that as soon as I touched the tree limb, it would rip it. So that's why we had layers of Gorilla Tape, And so yeah.
Jeez, that's insane, man.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, John, thank you so much, man. And again, looking forward to seeing you this week, dude.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
We'll see you.
Have a good night.
Good luck, buddy. Yep.
All right. Well, you guys got it right there. One of the best to hear from that's not actually in the Classic that knows Grand Lake very well. So thank you again to Mr. John Sokup. Again, like you said, go to check out the Save More booth. But fellas, shall we get into our picks?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let me bring up screen here.
I just have to say that if he was in this Classic, I probably would pick him.
I think a lot of people would.
I think you would have to not. Yeah. I hope they would put him in a bucket where you didn't even have to think about it twice, but he'd be a no-brainer. He like that. I think Grand Lake is like a think on your feet, random adjustment type lake. You know what I mean? Where somebody goes and does something dumb to win, and he's good at that stuff. You know what I mean? Like Evers burning up the thing. Like he did an open there a couple years ago without practice. He's like, I actually do better. I just show up and fish,
Yeah, in 2021, he has a 4th place finish here.
Yeah, and he didn't even practice. He just rolled in and smoked him.
Fall
I feel like
tournament.
when it's on your home turf, it's almost better
To
just
not
roll in.
practice.
Yeah.
Agree.
But all right. So how we're gonna roll with this? We will continue our way of doing it from the last show, where our winner has to go first for these shows, or was it loser has to go first? Which one was it?
Winner's
Winner
like
goes
cornhole,
first?
right? Yep, winner goes
All
first.
right. So then, all right, Boomer. That means you.
But can Jonathan Kelly go first? Then me?
Yeah, we.
Yeah, I guess we can have our guests.
Yeah.
Let's go first.
Yeah.
Nobody can pick my pick though.
Oh, I like
Oh, how would you know?
Sarah will do that. Don't worry. Sarah's
Don't
gonna
worry.
take your
Sarah's
pick.
got it.
Yep.
Pick the highest percentage in each bucket, and Brennan will have nobody to pick.
Also true.
JK. Yeah, somebody reminded me to click on the own percentage. Thank you, sir. Keep forgetting to do that. All right, Jonathan, who you got, man? Guess the show.
Oh, gosh, I didn't see that one other name in there. I thought this one was gonna be easier. I was easily gonna say Easton Fothergill. The kid's on a roll. I don't personally know him, just have seen what he's done in tournaments lately. But you happen to throw Tyler Williams up into the top there, and I was like, that's a tough one. He's rolling too, but I'll stick to what I originally saw. I'm gonna go with Easton.
Yeah, I mean, dude, that's actually been really impressive watching him in the opens, because he's sitting fourth?
Yeah,
fourth
on his way,
opens?
for sure.
Yeah. Would not be surprised if we see him in the top 9 at the end of the year.
Absolutely.
Boomer, who you got, man?
Hey, real quick. This Tyler is in the wrong bucket, right? With his start to the season. Don't you think that's the wrong bucket?
Well, and
Kyle Patrick.
Well, it's because those guys are the
newbies.
They won the opens, so that's why they're
Oh, gotcha. All right, I'm going off reservation. I'm going David Gaston.
Oh.
Only because I know he's a shallow water machine and he's pretty good there. I really want to take Tyler Williams.
If they're biting a jig, he's probably gonna catch them.
Yeah.
No joke.
Yeah, no kidding.
Kid is good.
All right, Deacon, who you got?
Dude, it was tough for me. Bucket E, the 2 hardest buckets to me on this one was Bucket E and Bucket B, I believe. And Bucket E, it was like, man, I had earlier this week, I had Tyler Williams picked, I had Kyle Patrick picked, and then, man, Easton Fothergill to me is fishing absolutely lights out. So I'm going rookie, even, compared to these guys who are already in the elites, someone who's right on his way based off of the opens finishes and the college classic to get into here. So, man, I'm going to Easton Fothergill. I also remember fishing the Central Toyota Series. A lot of those guys from Minnesota and Wisconsin would work their way down to Grand every year. Like I just always remember being at the weigh-in, and there was like 12 or 15 of those guys. Not saying he necessarily does, but those Minnesota, Wisconsin guys, they're not far from Grand, and a lot of them end up coming down before their lakes kind of freeze out and that kind of a thing. So anyways, Easton Fothergill's my pick.
Heck yeah. Well, you weren't supposed to pick the pro pick, Deacon. You broke the rules.
Told you guys. What I said.
Always cheating.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Oh, that's funny. So Deacon kind of actually explained it perfectly. I'm trying to take a run at this thing and kind of shake things up and give us some odd picks for this one. I don't know. I'm kind of feeling freaky for the classic here, just because it's a whole different event.
You want me to pick like one curveball in each bracket too?
Yeah, we'll save the curveball for the end then.
Okay.
Because then you're gonna have half the guys in here that'll change their answer.
We'll pick your
particularly Sarah.
Incredible.
By the way, John, it is not Adam anymore. It's either Sarah or Sheekin. That is what he goes by.
We've got all sorts of different names, Deacon,
we have a whole
Adam,
trophy
Sarah.
for the loser called the Sheekin at the end of the year.
Yep.
That's right. And guess who has never won the Sheekin?
Yet. But with that, now, Deacon, you made a great point. The guys in Minnesota and Wisconsin, and I vividly remember this, was it 2 years back when we had Bartuzik on, talking about guys from Minnesota and Wisconsin, the Midwest with the Grand. And that's why I'm kind of going with a sneakier pick here. We've had him on the show before, but I'm going with Adam Rasmussen for this one.
I looked hard at him.
New fall.
I like that. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And that. So who you got next?
Who in that group has actually fished a classic before?
I want to say Rasmussen. No, I don't think Rasmussen.
I don't think
I
anyone
mean, we got a
else.
high
Someone
schooler
else from
here, man.
Minnesota. Maybe it was.
Yeah, I don't think anyone had.
Here's the deal. Your first
Actually,
classic.
what about Cole? Has Cole Sands fished one?
I don't think
Ooh.
so.
No.
I
Did
don't
he
think
win an
anyone
Open
does.
2 years ago?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Him or Matt Messer for some reason stand out at me. They might have.
Yeah, I don't believe so because I'm pretty sure I saw Cole's social media post this week, like talking about going to like his first classic.
Okay.
So
Well, one shout out here too is this Aaron Yavorsky kid is literally in high school.
No way.
That's
Yeah.
wild.
Can you imagine that? The
17,
0.5% he has picked is probably his entire high school that's picked him in fantasy.
I love it.
Good for him though, dude. His little name is called Scope Goat on Instagram.
Oh, that's dangerous.
Oh, no.
Yeah. But all right, Andy, who you got, man?
I literally, I think over the last 4 days, cycled through Williams, Patrick, and Fothergill, and I even cycled Sands in a little bit. But I'm going Easton Fothergill. The guy's on fire.
Dang, all right, another vote for Fothergill. Okay.
No one says anything to Andy when he picks another pick that has been picked
Normally,
twice.
I just kind of float on my own breeze here.
Oh,
man.
sounds fine to me.
Andy does his own thing. Andy's gonna take all of his usual go-to guys, Hackney and Christie, and he does his thing. Sarah, you just go by. You just cheat, man. That's all.
I
Right.
I'm going to tell you this right now.
Awful
I do not
answers.
have. I do not have Hackney or Christie in my
What?
Come
Andy,
on.
that's not like you. Is it
know.
because you've been getting beat by young guys?
I mean, at Fork, Swindle ruined me. Like, I thought that was my safe pick, and they finished like 90th, and I was like, I'm done. I can't hold on to the old guys.
He's
anymore.
selling all of his
Done.
stock in the guys that have been around forever. He's like, nah, they're out. And then
Andy's
not
like, I
even
have an
players
age limit
anymore.
of 25.
30 and less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not
Literally.
a bad rule to live by this year, right? So, like, why not?
No.
That's a good point. John, how old are you?
28.
28.
Just a little too old,
Wonderful.
John. Sorry.
Just a little
Yeah,
too
sorry.
old.
Sorry,
I'm still beating that bank up.
Ah,
There's a
Oh,
stump. I'm
God.
casting at it.
Yeah. That's awesome. All right, Brendan, round us out, dude.
So I had to go Tyler Williams. He's too hot right now, and I'm not in the position to gamble too much, particularly in bucket E. So had to go Tyler Williams on this one.
You just went, yep, 44%. Take them, boys.
Well, I mean, man, come on, look where I'm at. All right,
It's touche.
it's bucket
What-
E. We can't get too crazy here. Can't get too risky.
I do want to say, though, while Tyler Williams is known as the jig guy, Kyle Patrick is wicked with a jig as well. Don't
Sure.
count him out here. I was it was between Rasmussen and Kyle Patrick for me on this. Kyle Patrick more just on the sense of hometown boy, like I wanted to, favoritism pick, but also in the pure fact that he's also fishing pretty free right now. If you guys haven't checked out his YouTube, I mean, again, a little bit of bias here because we know the guy well, but the dude is a very if you could give like a splash of Ike go crazy after you catch a fish, it's Kyle. So it's
100.
it's pretty
dude,
entertaining.
the
Yeah.
shaky hands, like I just love it. The dude is
He
like,
defined
excited.
being jacked up on Mountain Dew.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
I don't know
You always
if I
sees
do
him for his
with my
opens
hands.
picture.
Yeah, Baja Blast. Yeah.
Dude, he needs a Baja Blast jersey ASAP. We need Taco Bell and Baja Blast and Mountain Dew to team up. Like, let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey Siri, what does Baja Blast look like? And it's his opens picture from last year. Yeah,
So
yeah,
good.
exactly. Oh, hold on. My phone's actually Siri's talking to me. Hold on. Yeah, dude. That it's the picture of, or not the picture, in the video, his first catch on Fork literally was a 9.5 pounder, and his hand trying to remove the hook was just
Yeah, exactly.
it was awesome.
I just love it. That right there is why tournament bass fishing trumps everything for me, is that feeling when you catch a big one tournament day and you're just like, oh my gosh, like I can't even. Oh, I love it.
Yep.
That's pretty
yeah.
good. that Siri picked that up.
Yeah.
That's funny.
People in the comments are saying Siri picked up me saying Siri on here. Love
That's wild.
it's amazing. All right, John, you said you had a curveball for each of
we'll
these
call it
buckets.
we'll call it the dark horse of every bracket. I'm going to go with Powell Kemp.
Oh.
I know not hardly anything about him, but I just know he's probably an old school angler. And based off of where he's from and the Open he won, when it comes to throwing a crankbait and a jig shallow, those guys from that area of the country dominate. So if that's going to play and he's going to have a lot of room with a lot of guys just focusing on scoping and stuff like that, I feel like he's going to spend probably most of his time shallow practicing. Maybe he comes across the right couple stretches.
I love that.
I like that too. And also jerkbait, right? Like it sets up a lot like Grand stuff. That's great.
Talk about the coolest town name, Scotland Neck. I don't know why.
That is nice.
Where are you from, man? Scotland Neck.
Right?
He probably just said he's from the neck.
Yeah.
From the neck.
Neck.
Down around the neck.
I'm down there by neck, like south of Scotland, but in the neck.
Where are you from? Scotland? What?
It's wild.
Awesome. All right. Boomer. Actually, sorry, John. Yes, lead the way for Bucket D.
Gotta fix my pick every time he says
This is
something.
the last pick. I can't
Hey,
see
one sec. We had no one chose Kyle Patrick in Bucket E
Nobody.
out of us. Wow, that
Hopefully
is
nobody shows in this because
He wants to change.
dude.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that's one that needs to be picked by one of us. But anyways,
he's gonna be mad at us. That's
He'll be
all
all right.
Who you got, John?
I'll go with Clark Winlet.
Oh, okay. 3.3%.
Spent some time on Grand. There's no doubt about it.
Any reasoning behind that pick, or just feeling Clark on this?
Pretty sure I watched his social media post the other day. Said he had a pretty good practice, caught some fish. Being honest.
Yeah, I mean, hey, take your info how it comes.
No,
That's
I feel like,
information.
I feel like it's one of those tournaments where someone is going to be able to fish on the shallower side. So that's kind of where I'm going with it. Seeing that weather on the final day being windy, that's going to take away a scoper only angler. So I'm going to try to pick all my picks probably in the middle, either bank fisherman or a little bit of everything.
I love it.
Yeah.
Who was it? Was it Deakin? Was it you that said you'd love to see a Clark win? Somebody told me recently they'd love to see
I don't know
Clark.
if it was me, but I love watching.
Oh, no, it was
Clark
Andrew
fish.
Hayes. It was Andrew Hayes that told me that. You guys look similar. Apologies.
He doesn't have a classic win in his history. He's got a ton of AOYs though, right? Like he's never won the classic.
I think
he's
he's
only
got
won-
Forestwood Cups.
Yeah.
That sounds right.
He's a FLW guy for a long time.
Yeah.
But he did win one.
And hey, one
He-
thing to
the
remember.
First or second year of Bass, he won AOI.
All right. Boomer, who you got?
I got the hammer.
The
Ham.
Hamner. Dude, I love that. I'd be so happy if Hamner won it.
Oh,
I would too. I would have picked him. I just don't want to pick the top guy every time. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll leave
You're
that
not
up to you
like
guys.
Yeah, leave that up to me.
yeah, leave that to Brennan picking chalk.
Yep.
Well, I'm not going to take Brian anymore because he augured in.
Hey,
this
that was
season.
my
And
dark horse in this one. That was 100% my dark horse. He is
He-
0.7%, and he's done well on Grand, and that's someone that is, I don't know.
Just do it,
Like-
Boomer. Take him.
The hard thing is I don't want to take anybody who it's their first classic if I can avoid him because I feel like the tidal wave of the classic it's just so hard to overcome. You know what I mean? Just the amount of the energy and
going
the
on.
fact that it doesn't look like any other tournament. Practice is goofy. You know what I mean? You get 3 days a month ago, and then. But I know that Bryant did pre-practice for 4 days or 5 days down there before it went off limits. Like I know he put his time in and he's good. The place suits him, but if we stick to that offshore jerkbait scoper type dude, Hamner's a scoper, like a jerkbait machine scoper.
Open machine.
Yeah.
An
Machine.
absolute machine.
Yeah.
Last year, if you guys remember last year when they hit Champlain and we had Brian on, and Bryant was like, I'm stinking or I suck. And then the next day I talked to him after our show and he got on that offshore thing, and then I think he got 4th or 5th, right? Well, the guy that put him on that offshore thing was Hamner.
Wow.
Hamner's like, here's what you need to do. Anyway,
Dude,
the ham.
he is one of the most happy-go-lucky, fish-free anglers, I feel like, because he's just always like on top of the world, it seems like, because he's just out there enjoying himself.
Dude, nothing brought me more joy than watching him on fork. That was an absolute blast. It was like him and Tyler Williams. They were just giggling every time they had a fish on. And I was like, this is so good. I was eating the fork coverage up because of that.
Oh yeah. You got handshakers and gigglers. Like there's no better recipe for high quality bass fishing television, right? Like
we had him on after fork when he caught that 11, and he's like, we're asking him about it. He goes, honestly, I don't remember anything. I kind of blacked out. And he's like, afterwards, he's talking to his cameraman. He goes, am I shaking or is it just me? He's like, never in my life have I had to sit down after I caught a fish and like chill for a second. And I'm like, that's it right there.
That's how it should be.
Why. Yeah. That's awesome. All right, Deacon, who you got?
Who do you think I got, man? We've been talking about him for the last whatever.
All right, skip on down to Andy. I got Hammer too.
You going Clark Wendland?
No, I'm going Hamner all day. And yet, I mean, the way this is setting up, I've been on Grand a couple of times in March this time of year, and it's always like a rig, crankbait, jerkbait, jig. Like that's what it is when you can throw an A-rig. Can't throw an A-rig here. So to me, like I think the jerkbait is going to be absolute player. The dude's incredible with it. Whether that be and most of the time now, right? You're scoping with a jerkbait, but fishing it shallow, fishing it out. I just don't see how Hamner doesn't do great. And not to mention he's fishing incredibly well right now.
He's loose.
4th. Isn't he 4th in AOI?
Something like that. But yeah, you guys made my explanation easy because I'm going Hamner too. I think the only thing I'd add on top of that is if he wins, I'm missing my flight Monday morning.
Be a good
and it can't happen to a better dude. That would be
I mean, there's a lot of guys here that I'll say like I'll be genuinely very happy for if they win. But there's a couple of those guys, those buddies that we have that were like, we'll go a little bit hard in the after party if those guys win. Definitely with that. Andy, who you got, dude?
I thought D was actually a little bit tougher of a bracket to pick from, like, besides just Justin Hamner. I like Patty Schlopper could be a good pick. Carl with a jig. He's had some really impressive tournaments throwing a jig.
In Oklahoma.
Killer.
Yeah.
10
killer. Taku is always a really good choice. But I'm going to round it out. I took Hamner as well.
You say all that, and then you just go back to him.
It's a long way back to center there, buddy.
I couldn't just say that I took Hamner. I had to talk about it for a second, all right? Because everyone's just like, yep, I took Hamner. So got to lead you around the bush here.
Hey, I got a question for Jonathan.
Shoot.
So you see these guys that are scopers and they switch back and forth. Do you have any math between when the scope goes to the jig head minnow versus the jerkbait? We've seen 2 tournaments, right? One definitely jig head minnow, one jerkbait. Is there a scenario that causes that? Could we see it with the wind or?
I think with the fork one, a lot of guys fished way shallower than you guys probably thought watching it on camera. Like a lot of guys were in 8 foot or less, where I think a lot of people viewing it just think scope 30, 40, 50 feet. A lot of fish got caught shallow at fork. So I think just when you get in that shallow where it's hard with that jig head minnow, it's even with an 1/8 ounce, it hits the water and it just right past them or scares them. Actually, more so scares them.
The jig head does?
Like that big.
Up shallow.
Oh.
They don't like that. They don't like something falling by them so fast, you think?
Yeah. And then that comes down to, it's like your only other option is throwing a long cast and kind of just trying to reel it to them. But I feel like, especially in our first 2 events, it seemed like you had to hit them right on the head and get them to react. Like for me, the couple fish I seen, a couple clips I seen after the tournament watching live, same thing. Like guys were catching them on the cast. It wasn't like anyone was like, kind of how Koya does a lot, where he swims it all the way to them and then just cracks them. It seemed like those fish just wanted to be hit in the head in both places start the season. So I think that's where it varies. It seems like when you do go in 20 feet or deeper, the jerkbait comes out of play just because unless those fish are sitting way high, but I just don't think they really, for the most part, were at many of the places yet. I think some got caught like that at Toledo, but the majority there was on the minnow just because they were out deeper.
That's a really good point. We forgot our unforeseeable category here called Jim Johnson, the curse of all Bassmaster Fantasy Fishing. Said that he picked him. Thankfully, Andy went in the comments and said, Jim, change your pick right now. So, John, Jim Johnson, for whatever reason, is the ultimate curse when it comes to fantasy fishing. Whoever he picks sucks.
Who'd he pick?
He picked Hamner, so we're trying to tell him he's a change his pick.
You guys are screwed.
Yeah. I love it. All right, Brennan, who you got? Round us out for Bucket D.
I went with the Missouri kid, Cody Huff. Obviously got some experience here on Grand, has an 8th place finish here in 2021. I just think in terms of names, people that stand out to me for people that are going to intentionally try to stay behind fish that aren't funneling up shallow, right? His name comes to the top of the list in my mind for people to chase him offshore and stay behind fish. So I'm going Cody Huff.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. Any dark horses in here, John?
I got a really good one.
Okay.
Carl Jacobson. Water. We heard John say it. Water is clear. There's a lot of docks on Grand. The water's between 52 and 60. Sounds very glide baity to me.
Gloida.
That's
Very
serious
wide.
becoming
Setting
a
up very similar to when he did very well at Chickamauga on a glide bait 2 years ago.
I could see that play. You think that's consistent though for 3 days?
Well, that's what I mean. That's why he's a dark horse. It's a risky pattern. It's a risky way to go. Guarantee one of those 3 days of the tournament is going to be tough for that bite.
I'm all about that.
I'll go
Can you
on record
imagine?
saying that he's the best glide bait fisherman in the elites. I'll go on record for that. I'll even have
Really?
t-shirts made. I
So
think
if, between him, Milliken, or Zaldane, you're going to take Carl?
I'll take Carl.
Damn. That's
take
stout.
And
That's-
Paul.
I've heard some stories and yeah. But I mean, it doesn't really matter for what we're doing here, but
Yes, it
Why
does,
they call
because
us
there's
armchair
another
quarterback.
bracket that we didn't know about, the glide bait bucket.
he's the guy that live and died with it for 4 or 5 seasons, though. You know what I mean?
True.
He got as close to a all glide bait win and a major championship as anybody, I think, right? When he almost won remember when the Opens had championships? The Bassmaster Open Championship. I can't remember what it was called. I can't remember where it was at. I think it was on Gunnersville. But he almost won just on a glide bait, nothing else. Lost the last day.
Boomer, I think Bass Fanatic needs a story behind the one you told us with the
Brandon is better than Carl. I know for a fact that Brandon may not say it out loud, but when they show up on somewhere and a glide bait fish needs to get caught, Brandon says, Carl, get him.
Carl.
I know for a fact.
Carl, yeah. Sick him, Carl.
Who was it? It was Brandon, Carl, and the guy from Oklahoma that used to be on the elites. Super cool guy. I can't remember his name. Anyways, long story short, Carl was in the back of the boat and they were fishing up a river up here in the Northwest for Brandon's bachelor party. And they'd go by a bush and they'd fish it. And then Carl would go by the bush with a glide bait and catch a 4 out of it. And he said it was so upset him so much that he sat down. And Carl was in the back of the boat behind these 2 elite guys. He just pitched a glide bait into the bush and catch
Was it Hallman, Boomer?
No,
Who else would it be?
I feel bad that I can't remember his name because he's such a stud.
Was it
Kevin.
James E? Oh,
He was an elite. Kevin?
Ledoux?
Ledoux.
Edward Beavers?
Yes.
Ledoux.
I
Kevin
believe he was an
Ledoux.
elite in 15 and 16. Kevin was it was mind numbing. He goes, you look at this bush and we fished it. Me and Brandon fished it really good, and they go by it, and Carl would catch one out of it after the boat damn near floated over the top of it with a glide bait.
That's awesome.
This is a pretty funny story.
Yeah.
Anyways.
All right, John. Who we got for Bucket C?
All right. So I got a question. How did Joey Nania end up in this bracket?
Probably because it's like his 5th classic he qualified.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he's
I
qualified.
think it's his 2nd or 3rd.
I'm gonna go with Jay Shkurt.
Ooh,
I like
That
it.
this is one of the tougher brackets. in
I'm
my
putting my
opinion.
hands up now so nobody thinks I switched my pick. I can be accused.
Jay just catches them everywhere. Like even when he's not on them, he catches them, and he's a really good fisherman all around. He can adapt. Like I mean, you've seen day one at Fork. I think he caught 20 pounds off the bed, and he goes, "Oh, 20 pounds only got me this place. Well, I guess can't do that the next day." And then went and caught like 30 some, and then I think on the 3rd day caught 36. Like crazy weight. So
I could see it, honestly. It's one of those things like I feel like he's like becoming. I'm not gonna make this direct comparison yet, obviously, because Jay's still pretty dang young, but he's like one of those guys like Brandon Polnick, where he's always a safe pick regardless of whatever location you go to. He's gonna figure something out.
yeah, like I feel like he's gonna at least be making the 3rd day.
Right. Yeah, he's gonna cash a check.
They all
I'm with
cash
that.
checks at the classic.
Well, I'm saying like Andy,
How's it going?
Captain got him.
damn it.
Damn it, Andy.
Classic Dan.
Sorry, you just set the moment up. Like I was like, I have to take a shot.
Oh,
here.
I
I'm
don't-
Sorry.
Yeah, don't apologize. It's fantasy, man. Swing away. What you got, Boomer?
I want you to quantify the Joey Nannini statement. Why'd you ask that?
Quantify it? With
Yeah,
numbers?
Jonathan said, "How does
Qualify
Joey end
it.
up?" Yeah,
Well,
like,
I thought all the opens guys were in bracket E.
oh, that's right.
Like
Maybe
it made
there
sense. Like
wasn't enough
that whole bracket E was filled of the opens winners. So it just was odd to see his name in this one when all those were in E.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think he's a kid that could.
Well, he's made the
accidentally
classic,
win it.
I think, right?
Yeah.
A couple of times.
4 or 5 times. Yeah, he won the Junior Bassmaster Classic 2 years in a row when he was a kid. He's from. He grew up a mile from my house.
I only see one classic on
2.
his record.
Oh, now it's
Well,
2.
this would be 2.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it's
Well,
one,
now
that's
it's
2022.
2.
Well, and I said 4 or
I thought
5.
he fished
I'm talking
2023 as well.
the juniors.
Am I crazy? I thought he fished 2023, but weird. Oh, all right, never mind. Did you make your
All
pick?
right.
Ian?
I went straight up Brennan Koya.
Kyoya.
I would. I only did it twice. I got some crazy picks at the top, but Koya is just insane right now. He's hard to take over.
Is he
Yeah.
going
Like-
to catch him cranking?
That is the crazy part. I don't know.
Does he own a crankbait?
Doesn't matter.
Sure. I'm with you though. I don't think you can bet against the guy. Like he's just
No,
on
just-
fire.
He's just gonna go in like an area that he can catch him on scope doing what he wants to do, even if it's community hole, and he's gonna catch him.
Mm-hmm. It's like another one. It's like a guaranteed.
Yeah.
Well, like almost guaranteed lock to make the 3rd day.
To cash a check.
Yeah, the type of pay to cash a check.
So-
I might say it outright.
That's
John,
kind of a good pick for bucket C, though. If you have a
Yeah.
check casher, like it's a good position.
Well,
to
and
be in.
No matter what, you can't ignore momentum.
Oh.
Not in this
Oh,
sport.
sure.
You can't ignore the fact that he's just steamrolling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like his last 4 or 5 elite tournaments, like great. Like he's top 10, top 20 in every one almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's John, I'm curious what you've seen, but like Hamner was telling us that guys are always trying to sneak a look into his boat. And he's like, he comes in and it's like rod locker's locked with all the rods put away. Nothing, the deck is cleaned with any spare baits. Like, are guys really trying that hard to cop some looks at Koya's boat?
I'm sure, but I really think I'm pretty sure he really does just throw a drift fry and the Sakamata. Like, I don't think there's much other craziness to it. I'm pretty sure he sticks to those. I fished next to him. Obviously, I didn't have the luck he had.
So something really cool. I was actually listening to it today. Mercer always gets Jake Latondras on for his Jake's Take, he calls it. And he was talking about how when he was with Kyoya on Toledo Bend, that Kyoya made Jake stand in a specific spot on the boat so that it was perfectly like 90 degrees with his transducer. Because if he was on any other part, his transducer would be slightly like crooked because the boat would be leaning a certain way.
Oh, interesting.
And like he's that dialed into his forward facing sonar.
Jeez.
Wow.
That I literally slowed down and went off cruise control when he said that, because I was like, wait a second, what did he just say? It was kind of mind blowing that they get that dialed in, because I don't know if anybody else is thinking.
No, I mean, the rest of us are just like, ooh, fish, throw it that way.
Cast.
It's incredible, man. I would love to. I mean, it's hilarious the amount he goes to like. Apparently, he's the last boat in every morning because he wants to ignore or get away from the media, so they don't try to expose anything or something. That I just find comical. I think it's just funny, but love to just study the guy. I forgot who we're on. Who's supposed to go next? Is Deakin? Are you up?
Yeah. This is probably my riskiest pick of this event. And the last couple events, to be honest, I've been pretty heavy on chalk for the most part with things, and it served me well. But man, I'm going Joey Nania on this, and I know that we're kind of talking about Bucket E supposing to be there, but I just think back to some of the events on Grand down by the dam of guys jighead minnowing really kind of before we saw the big scope movement, and a couple of those creek arms, I don't remember the names of them, by all the sailboats and all that kind of stuff, just out in the middle. College kids doing it, a couple Toyota Series guys doing very well, jighead minnowing, even when I was in that event catching them on the bank. Like, they were still fish out, as we know now with forward facing how often that occurs. So I think it's a little bit of a risky pick on my end compared to some of the folks in Bucket C. I had a hard time not selecting Jay Shakira. And then Cifuentes has led me astray for 2 events now. So I'm not as high on Cifuentes as it has been, unfortunately, because he's been an absolute hammer for me in years past. But going to Nia in Bucket C as my risky pick.
God damn it, Deacon.
It's fun.
I swear to God, I was going to Nia too. Like,
No way.
No way, dude. That's the.
I have it on. Hold on. I'll prove that I'm not.
We believe you, Bailey. We believe you.
Yeah. We've been picking a lot.
God, that's crazy.
Don't listen to Sarah
Bailey.
now,
That's
everybody. He's a
strange.
bad boy.
Don't listen to Sarah.
He's a bad boy.
Oh man, I don't know what else to say beyond that. That he's just, for whatever reason, like we were just talking about, it seems like he's been in a couple of classics, but apparently it's only been one, including to this year. But he did well in the classic and at Hartwell. Like, he was in the top 10 going to the last day. So like, he's not afraid of the big stage. And he won the Eufaula Oklahoma Open, which I believe is why he's in this event.
Mm-hmm.
I could see Nania, man. Like, it's like you said, Deacon, perfectly. It's a big risk, but one that could certainly pay off dividends on this.
He did good at Hartwell. Like, he had a camera in his boat, I think, on day 2. Like, he won't be shocked by this. Like, this, it's just a derby for him. I agree with you guys. I can't believe I didn't take him. Now I can't switch.
We got a comment here that says, apparently Kyle Patrick on Bass U Live said that everyone's saying it sucks out there. Well, so you got guys that go out there, and John, you can speak this way better than we can, but guys are probably saying it sucks because they're not catching fish because they're not sticking any fish.
Dude, I don't think any elite guy had a bite in practice at Lake Fork.
From who you talk to, or you just saying that in general?
I think he's just saying that.
Yeah, I feel like you can't read too much into that. Yeah,
I swear. Yeah, I remember. I think it was Prosnick on the one day weigh, and he's like, "All these guys, like, he ain't caught a fish all practice." And then 8 o'clock at night, day before tournament, everyone's holding up these giant fish. Can't wait to get out there. He goes, "What the fuck?"
Well, what's the running joke now with Coop, where it's just like, yeah, brutal practice, and then 30 pounds. Like, it's like, get out of here, bro.
Coop will go, dude, I have no idea what I'm about to do tomorrow. And then just go out there and whack.
Just crack them.
You think he's just doing it on purpose now?
2 tournaments in a row.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Fisherman.
Somebody should go through his the backlog of his YouTube videos, even through the opens, because I've been watching his stuff for a while. He's got a great series called The Chase of how many times he's in his boat rigging with like his brother or his dad. He goes, practice was brutal. Don't know what we're going to do tomorrow. So we should just clip that and string all of them together.
Be good.
I'm pretty sure he even said it the open he won on, was it Cherokee or something like that? Yeah. hilarious.
He's
All right,
like,
who
I
we
had
got?
two. He's like, I had 2 bites and 7 days of practice. It was brutal, and he freaking whacks him. I have an idea of what we're gonna do.
Yeah. All right, Andy, I think you're up, man.
I was torn between Cifuentes and Koya, and I ended up going Koya. Just he's on fire. You can't disregard that for a bucket C pick.
I think there's no explanation needed on that one.
Yeah, and I don't think he's going to allow the media to get anywhere near him, so he's just going to hide until day 3.
I don't know, man. There's classic. It's literal media day. I think he's gonna be forced.
He's going to be the guy that's packing up the boat early and like, I'll take the fine.
That's going to be his demise is the media day.
Yeah.
He's gonna just hide in the bathroom the whole time with all of his baits.
Yep.
He probably has.
I'm genuinely intrigued to see him at media day to see how many guys are gonna try to be over there with cameras.
He's smart. He's like, he's gonna be like, no English.
Yeah.
English.
He's gonna have a big bottle of boat wax, and he's just not gonna ever get a rod out. Just for like 3 hours. Like,
won't go 2 miles an hour faster.
I know it'll be the shiniest thing on the water. Yeah.
That's
Never
awesome.
get a rod out. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Oh,
All right, Brennan, round us out, dude.
I went Jay Shakirat. I've been high on Jay Shakirat since he qualified for the elites. Just knowing, his backstory, his dad, who's a phenomenal walleye angler in the National Walleye Tour. I don't know. I just think that these standout events, I don't know. I just got a feeling. So I'm going to go Jay Shakirat on this. Although Brandon Card secretly was hard not to pick here too with all of his Oklahoma success. So
there's
I
something
feel like
about
he always
North
shows up in
Carolina and
classics.
Oklahoma.
Doesn't it feel like
he's a
he
North
always shows
Carolina
up?
guy that translates directly to Oklahoma and back to North Carolina. We all know that.
Kind of.
But doesn't it feel like when we're talking about classic, it always seems like day one Brandon Carr's out to a good start?
That and Matt Airy is another Bassmaster Classic, like just always right there in it.
Matt
Also,
Airy is not in this, correct?
He is Group B.
Oh,
3.9% owned.
And now Deakin's gonna
Got you
shoot
thinking, doesn't it, Sarah? Huh?
dude, that is
Weird.
interesting. He has
Yeah.
done extremely well at Grand in the FLW days, especially when they actually do get to that spawn, like right around when they're behind the docks and stuff. Like, whew.
But just look up classics, man. Like, look where Matt Airy's name is in Bassmaster Classics. Every single one of them, he's right there.
Shoot, dude, if he landed that frogfish at Ray Roberts, he probably would have won.
Yep.
Hartwell, when Christie won, it was him, Welcher, and Christie, right?
I thought it was
Airy,
Stetson.
Welcher, Christie?
Stetson.
Stetson.
That's
Yeah.
another
Yeah,
one.
but Airy was right
Stetson
in the mix.
Blaylock is always there in early season tournaments. Always. And classics.
Clint,
Don't you talk
has a
about my
good
picks.
point here.
Don't you talk about? Yeah, I totally realizing and
North
proving that I
Carolina,
wasn't
Oklahoma.
copying Deakin. I totally showed the rest of my hand for fantasy.
Yeah, you got a real wild card in Group B.
Yeah, I do. But it is what it is, boys. John, what do you got for a wild card for this one?
Joey Nania.
Yeah, all right.
He's really good with that jig head minnow, and it's going to play. So
Oh boy.
I probably would have honestly picked him if Jay wasn't in this bracket.
Hey, Jim Johnson, can you pick Koya for us?
No thanks.
Okay. I think Koya is the he's the kryptonite for Jim Johnson. It doesn't affect him.
It's the language barrier.
Yeah. Jeez. All right, John, Group B.
Phew, it's getting hard. Stetson.
Oh,
Change it, Boomer.
We're just like, damn it.
Boomer, you were making that noise no matter what he said, weren't you?
John's like, oh, I mean Milliken, and Boomer's like, oh, that was my pick.
Oh man, that was
I thought I was getting out of my lane. Like, yeah, going against the grain. Going Stetson.
Going against the grain with
First
20%.
Yeah, with the guy who
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's not a social media outlet screen iPad that's not screaming Ben Milliken for the last 6 months in your ear. You know what I mean? If you pick somebody else, you are obviously going against the social wave. Anyways, I was trying to be was trying to not go that route, but okay.
Yeah,
Sorry,
we'll
Jonathan.
save because that's a good point I actually want to bring up, but we'll save that towards the end once everyone's given their picks here. But obviously, Boomer, you're going for Stetson.
Well, and Jonathan probably has some better reasoning than I do, but you guys said it earlier. Like, he doesn't suck. He's amazing in the spring. And if they go to the bed, there's
He'll
probably
miss
not a
it
better
anyway.
bed fisherman. Yeah. Because
Mhm.
wasn't his first elite win bed fishing? I think it was.
Who's
Was it Winya Bay or something? Wasn't it?
Nah, they weren't. He wasn't visibly seeing them. though.
Oh, yeah.
Yo, Bass Fanatic, stop giving up my picks, man. It's like every time, every group, he's like dark horses. Someone,
Oh,
Well-
interesting.
well, but-
I can see that. He shows up at classics.
we'll talk about it. God dang it. Whatever.
I didn't mean to cut. I wanted to hear Jonathan's reasoning. Sorry for cutting you off, buddy.
I just think he's just overall so well versatile angler, and I feel like Arkansas would fish similar to Oklahoma. I feel like those lakes are very similar, and it's the hot hand. He had a good start to the season.
Yeah. Whatever he just said, I said too.
I don't think I've ever picked Stetson and regretted it in fantasy. Like all the
It's
years
one,
doing
it's
this.
one of those. It's
It's-
a guarantee. You probably take a check pick.
It is so consistent, and this is not far from his home. All the Arkansas guys fish all the Oklahoma lakes growing up, fishing tournaments there and championships and whatever else. And you just can't not. I don't know. It was between him and then when you said Matt Airy, it kind of that got me excited. But at the end of the day, I'm going Stetson and Bucket Beat.
Well, to add to that, Stetson has also taken a check in every single tournament last season and both 2 tournaments this season. So he's
Heater.
probably
He's a great pick.
he's probably the only guy. I think he's the only guy that checked every tournament last year.
Wow.
Maybe there might be one other.
Every
but-
single
Didn't Koya
tournament.
check
he
every
is
tournament
he
too?
is
Mm-mm.
No.
the elder to Luke Palmer.
Yeah.
I feel like he's a not an if but when for a classic win.
Yeah.
Because he's always in it the first day, especially since I don't know.
Since he moved over.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we got some comments in here of, does Kenta Kamara live on Grand Lake?
Have you seen Kenta Kamura's success on Grand Lake specifically? Not just
also-
Oklahoma, but Grand Lake.
He like blows the doors off.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
got a second
Yeah,
and
it's
a
ridiculous.
fifth.
He owns the lake. Well, him and Jason Christie.
Mhm.
I mean, to be fair, Kenta lives on like every lake because he just fishes everywhere. Not-
I thought I heard
He
something.
has a temporary home on every lake.
He's not paying a lot of property taxes, you're saying?
Someone was saying that dude drinks like 5 to 7 Red Bulls every single day.
Oh my god.
I mean, dude, have you seen the sunglass tan in his photo? Because it's fantastic.
I mean,
Can't
that's
beat it.
just
I think it's unmatched.
I don't
I
know.
think-
I don't know if he drinks more Red Bulls or smokes more cigarettes.
One of
does
the
he
two.
rival Brian Thrift?
Oh, for sure. I fished next to him 2 years ago at Pickwick, and it was like all day. I said, Kenta, just do not rip one when I'm downwind, like, because I hate that smell. That's all I asked. I said, we could fish together. Just don't rip a cig when I'm downwind.
Oh man. So
Wow,
wow, Red
like,
Bull chugging chain smoker. I love it.
That's the most derby fisherman I've ever met. That's fantastic.
Dude, I got a couple buddies that will only smoke when it's derby day. Like
Oh.
they don't smoke at all, and then they're like,
There's
I
a
got
pile
to, I
of
gotta
them.
pull up. I'm like, oh my god. I'm like, dude.
That's strategy. So they get more of a feeling from.
Yeah.
That's like the epitome of gambling addiction right there. Red Bulls and just
Dude,
pumping
that's
dude.
And
tournament
it's
bass
always
fishing.
Marbreds. Always. They must think they're like Dale Earnhardt or something.
Throwing darts,
Like,
man.
Yeah. Throwing
It's the most
darts.
bass fishing thing I've ever heard.
Was it Julius Maisie that said he wanted a marble red boat wrap?
Yeah.
Could you imagine?
So good.
The Marble Man of 2024 needs to be a bass fisherman.
Yeah, like
That's amazing. So Alex Gaziano here says, had a buddy draw him in an open. He drank multiple Red Bulls and smoked at least a full pack during the tournament.
I mean, we're talking. Oh, it's
A tournament's only 8 hours.
Insane, dude.
just put it in, just slap an IV in his arm, you know, like let's go.
That's insane. Okay, who are we on? I forget. Who was up?
Deacon, you just went right.
yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Stetson.
Oh. Okay, you went with Stetson. This one, dude. Obviously, we already know what I was picking, but Matt Robertson shows up in these classics, like from the legit format of there is no points in this. There's no nothing. The dude goes out just swinging like I didn't just
Who said
You
I'm
see
out
that
here?
move too? How agile he was. He was like,
He's done that a
come
time or
back.
two.
Yeah, no kidding. Getting the ran to the shitter. Dude, Robertson for whatever like so was it which event was it? Hartwell last year? Like he just his approach to it. Granted, obviously it wasn't that not Hartwell, sorry, Murray last year. That wasn't a classic, but his approach to going after bigger caliber fish just shines brighter, I feel like, in these events, and he can definitely do that on Grand. I think there's something with Matt, dude. Just the way he goes out, literally not giving a crap about a limit. He's just gonna go for big bites.
yeah, he was throwing the coal shad on Loudon.
Yeah, that's my dark horse pick for the exact reason you just said.
Well, yeah, last year Tennessee River, what was it like? He had 2 5-pounders or something. He only had 3 fish for the day, but like 15 pounds or something ridiculous on day
Big
one.
smallies.
Yeah, throwing big swim bait. Like I feel like there's something to that with Matt Robertson.
And just like 2 weeks ago, I think he finished second in a Toyota Series throwing big swim bait. So I'm sure he's like, yeah, I'm just going to keep throwing that same swim bait.
There he is.
Attaboy.
Good job, Boomer. Welcome back, buddy.
Welcome back.
Hey,
Welcome back to the show,
Welcome
that
man.
was very nice.
That was so good.
We love
Did I
the
miss a
angle.
good?
We
Dude,
just
one
paused.
time-
We were waiting for you.
One time on it just reminded me of this because Boomer's laptop was facing down as he was running back into the room. One time there was this old dude on a Zoom work call that his entire laptop was just facing to his crotch the entire time. He just was talking, and just having normal conversation. It's like, dude, what do we got going on here? Like, and then Zoom picks it up when someone's talking. You're just like, oh my God. Just wonderful.
That's incredible.
Oh man,
All right, Andy, what do you got, dude?
I took Kenta.
Because of the comments? Did you
No.
switch?
No, I've had Kenta
Somebody tell
since
us.
like about a week ago when I chipped when these picks were available to pick. His track record on Grand is insane, and eventually his opens records will translate to the Elite Series, and I think he's going to be one that does really well in this tournament.
All right. Brennan, I'm gonna guess
Yeah,
I'm
just
thinking what you got.
skip me. You know. Yeah, no, I'm going Ben. And it's only because he's the most percent owned. No, but honestly, I am going Ben. Obviously, the big bait thing that could play. Not going to go out and put it all out there and say that it will, but in the event that it does, his name is at the very top of the list for people that I see to have success with that. I don't know. I've talked to him a little bit about his practice, got a little back cursor on that. I've liked some things that I've heard. So I'm in the point where with my tournament or my fantasy fishing season that any inside information I can get, I have to exploit. So here we are.
Yeah. So this is what I wanted to talk about earlier is I've seen in this, obviously he's got a gigantic following, but I'm genuinely curious. I'm not going to take anything away from the guy because I wouldn't, like if he wins the Classic, I wouldn't be surprised. And there's a lot of guys you could say that for, obviously, but I'm just curious why so many guys are steering towards him. Is it because of the fandom, or does Grand set up like a East Texas lake? Like, I'm curious the reasoning behind it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it definitely does in some ways, but I also look at Ben like Nebraska guy, Midwestern guy, ton of success on lakes like Truman, Ozark region in general. A lot of that's going to translate to Grand. Yeah, I don't know. And look where he's at right now in AOI. He's fishing hot. So
yeah.
Now, Brennan, I do have this question for you. If he wasn't fishing hot, would you still have taken him?
probably, yeah. I don't know, man. I just, for me, I guess, like I'm a fanboy and a friend, so I'm gonna take him. I don't know.
Ride or die. I love it.
Kind of ride or die, and he's kind of having a magic season. I don't know. It's pretty special. I'm gonna keep rolling. What's that
What
noise?
was that?
Somebody is jamming.
Who is that?
Oh, is it me?
It was Boomer.
Are you watching something?
Oh, this is so good.
The girls. That's why I had to leave earlier. The girls just got home, and it's like a melee. I will. It's just party central around here. Sorry. Hang on. Let me.
What is going on?
Boomer with crotch shots and just blaring music. Just love it.
Disrespectful.
Can't tell who the boomer of the
He's
group
like,
is.
screw this show. We're gonna play some music.
I can't believe you guys can hear it because I can't hear it.
Oh man, it was loud.
That was loud.
But anyway, if there was honestly a classic where I would say Ben, like this lined up for him, this is probably the one, honestly.
Or Ray Roberts
just-
next year.
Yeah, but just like with his style of fishing, how he grew up fishing, this is probably closer to what he grew up fishing than what he's fishing now in Texas. You know,
Well,
so this
fishing
is
with Bama
very
here says-
familiar to him.
He cut his teeth on Grand apparently back in the day.
Oh, dude, like just from knowing the Nebraska guys, like that's every championship ever in Nebraska stuff is always on Grand. Like,
Yeah, dude, this is should be good for him on paper. That doesn't mean it will be, but on paper. And it's the classic. It's his first one. He's gonna swing for it. Why not? What's he got to lose? His dreams already come true.
Hell yeah. All right. Yeah, and John, you said dark horse was Matt Robertson for this one.
Mm-hmm.
All right, last bucket. Do we need to say anything else? John, who you got?
Kyle Welcher.
Ooh. I like that. Any specific reasoning? Or
He's
think
a grinder, but he knows how to do it all. Just finished second in the last classic, I believe.
2 classics.
2 classics ago, so I think he's gonna get some vengeance.
I like that. I'll be all in on a Kyle Welcher win. Boomer?
Patty Walters.
I mean, I don't think any of us will doubt that, but any reason why?
Fishing downhill again. I feel like he's won a lot. He knows how to win. I feel like if the Clearwater thing goes, like what John was saying, I think that's a deal. The only thing I don't have a ton of confidence, like any kind of reference, is if it just goes to a straight 2 inches of water fishing. I don't know if I've ever seen him like really compete in like the mud fishing, you know. But he's
I don't know.
I feel like his rookie year on the Elites, he threw a crankbait a lot, like a DT6 up shallow. Like I
Yeah.
remember there was a Florida tournament, I think, like coming out Patty Walters' party that he was cranking before he had live scope or before he got really good at live scope.
I love MJ. MJ's comment here. Walters is a bold pick. It might not be shorts weather on Championship Sunday.
Thighs will not be out, boys.
I mean, that was my reason for not going with him.
Yeah.
If the thighs can be shown.
But if
Thighs shall
if
be
there's
shown.
shorts under the bibs, does that still count?
Oh,
No,
for sure. There's definitely short shorts under the bibs.
I mean they're definitely there, but they don't count. They
Could
have
you
to be
imagine if he goes
exposed.
rain jacket, bibs, but like cuts the bibs right where his shorts are?
Oh, dude, yeah.
It's like it's his rally
That's gonna
cap
be the
is
new-
what you're
that's
saying.
going to be the new style.
Dude, somebody's got to do that. He's got to lean into that because that would be hilarious.
At that
What
rate,
would you
all
call those?
he would need is a rain jacket.
Cheeky
I don't know.
bibs. Are those would just be like,
He bends over. He bends over to like fix something on his graph. You're like, oh god.
Jeez, man, where is this going?
We're sending that over to Blackfish. Hey, we got an idea. Trust us
Hey,
on
I
this.
have been telling Blackfish for the longest time to go shorter shorts because their shorts are like to the knees, and I'm like, I'm not quite a Patty Walters status, but
I
I
agree with
like
that.
shorter shorts. So
I got
You're
mine
pretty close.
him. I got mine him because they were too long for me.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
can't touch my kneecaps.
Yeah, exactly. I can't have knee shorts.
you
I
just
need
get a little taller,
mid-thigh.
guys. All right, like
Hey, I'm 6 foot, Andy. All right, I got mid thighs, 7-inch
you can taller
inseam.
than
you could have more torso than leg, though.
Short
I
shorts
have a
aren't-
very small amount of torso. I got a weird body, man. I got long legs.
He says, "I am all legs."
well, when you got people like short shorts don't work for me. No one wants to see big ass thighs on display.
That's exactly what people want in short shorts. What are you talking about?
I don't know, man. No one wants to see
I don't know
this.
how we got here.
No
Sorry.
one wants to see that.
Cheeky bibs. That's
Cheeky
true.
bibs.
Cheeky bibs.
Blackfish, we got an idea. Cheeky bibs and crotchless waders. Bring it on.
Crotchless waders. Soon we're gonna have assless chaps waders on the fishing scene.
It's got Matt Robertson written all over it.
Oh, yeah, he's gonna get fined all day long.
Hey, dude, the show he did with Mercer, where he's like, you're telling me that you got that underwear sponsor and you didn't put me in your pitch. There's no way in hell. He goes, you guys got that without me. When he wore the underwear during the tournament. That was so fun. I was literally crying driving and truck listening to that.
Oh, here we go. I think romper is the proper term. That's what a
Romper's
blackfish
pretty good, too.
romper.
Screw that. Cheeky waders or cheeky bibs sound way better.
A romper could be cheeky bibs, I suppose. So it's one and the same, right? So
Hey, ICAST 2024 Blackfish Cheeky Bibs. Coming at
It
you.
win too. That's about the quality of stuff that wins these days.
Yeah.
Oops, I shouldn't have said that. That didn't come from my mouth. Boomer said that.
I love
Boomer
late
said it.
I love late tackle industry takes from Brennan. They are so good.
Yeah,
Late
I gotta be
show,
careful. I gotta
a couple beers in, he's like, I don't care if I lose my job. Let's talk
What was
about
that, Brennan? What was it?
I'm gonna put a new piece of gum in right now and move on.
oh gosh.
All right. Who's up? I think Boomer. I think you're up. No, you picked
Boomer
Walter.
just
Never
went.
mind. Deacon, you're up.
Oh.
Dude, first of all, we're 2 picks in. No one has Jason Christie, and I won't either. Nothing against Christie, but Luke Palmer, man, fishing incredibly well. He's a guy that has become super consistent, and talk about a guy that grew up in Oklahoma, can go fish the bank very, very well, but we've also seen him be very deadly on scope. And in my opinion, I think that's what's going to win this tournament, someone who's doing a little bit of both. So, man, I'm going Luke Palmer. I hope that this is a classic for him.
You changed your picks. You saw my paper.
Dude, Bailey, stop copying my picks. You're clearly behind me.
I've had it on paper the whole time. Yeah, Palmer's another one of them boys that if he wins, I'm missing my flight Monday. I have no other reasoning behind that. Deacon, yeah, he
was close at Hartwell too, wasn't he?
He was top 5.
Yeah.
I think he was
Fishing
4th.
very well.
4th, I think. Something like that.
Just another, like you said, he's just like Stetson. It's never a bad pick to roll with Palmer. It's just, it's guaranteed consistency. He's going to catch him.
Yeah. Well, we are 4 picks in with 2 guys left, and no one's picked Jason Christie yet.
That is wild to me.
And I already preluded, I am not taking Jason Christie either.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
Brennan's like, switching my pick, boys.
so we already know
I'm
Brennan's
telling you right
going
now,
to
I'm taking him, dude. If you see where my team's at, I cannot. Give me
Higher percentage wins.
dude.
I
Give me
was-
Christie in every bucket somehow. I'll pay to make it happen.
I was between Palmer and Polikanek, and I went Brandon with this second
Okay.
place finish at Grand a few years ago.
I like that.
And
There's so many of these wins that would be awesome to see, but I think if there was one that was deserving more than anybody else in this classic, it's Polnick. Like it's like the one thing that's left to cross off his list.
if you want a real dark horse here in Group A, you could go Hank Cherry. He almost won the Classic there his first year going behind
Yep.
Cliff Pace.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
On
did
a
he break
jerk
off
bait.
that?
on a jerkbait.
Yeah, didn't he break one off that like could have won it?
Yeah, and I think he broke one off on a jig too on the final day. That would have helped a lot as well. And Grand Lake is a jerkbait jig fishery. Hank Cherry's very good at both.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Great
saw
point.
that.
And he's from North Carolina.
Hey, I think a dark horse in
Guaranteed
this
lock.
is Bob Downey, no doubt, man. He's been
Oh,
shown out.
won
in
an
some
open
classics.
there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And he's a Minnesota guy. Those guys do well on Grand. I think that's a 0.6%. Hard to pick in bucket A, but man, I think in just about any other bucket, he'd be fairly high.
Yeah. Any other dark horse, John, that we're not seeing here?
I would. I don't even think you could even call him a dark horse, but I was going to say Polnick because no one picked him. But I'll go Bob Downey just because he is, at the lowest percentage.
All right.
How about
But, yeah,
Hackney? Doesn't Hackney have a great track record at Grand too?
Good cranker too, like
Mhm.
really
Throwing a
good
jig
shallow
behind the boat
cranker.
dock.
Yep.
But I feel like Polinick's due, and like you said, it's one thing he still wants to check off his list. So
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all of our picks in, but let's go around the horn here. We can only pick one single person that we would get like our best feeling we think is going to win. I think we could all be in agreement here that we all think Jason Christie probably has the best chance of winning this. So let's
I don't know, dude. If we would have chose that, someone would have chose that. If you would say that he's got the best chance.
But I think we're also playing the game here, though. Like we're playing the game of fantasy fishing in order to beat each other. Like, so I think there's that.
To be honest, the reason why I didn't take Jason Christie is because he started off the season terrible.
Right? Yeah, I'm not going to say he's my number one to win this thing.
All right, fine. We'll throw Jason Christie back in the mix. But I just thought I don't want to go back. Who do you think's going to win? Who's your best guess? And all of us say Jason Christie, and it be obvious. But all right, let's just go down the line. Who do you think is the one person you think is going to win this event? Let's go left or right here on the screen. Andy, who you got?
I'm going to go dark horse pick. I think Patty Schlopper is somebody that could possibly win this classic. Like has a really good chance at winning it in Group D.
You have him picked or no?
No, I do not. But I'm
curious.
Huh. Yeah, I just.
Why don't you pick him if he's your best chance of winning?
Because Hamner. I just think like I'm trying to go like different from my picks, right? Like guys that I pick in my group, I'm like, I think Pat Schlopper.
Like, Bailey asked your best pick of the event.
Yeah, your family is on the line, Andy.
My family's on the line.
We're talking. Right. We should.
Come on.
Hold up. Let's make this more fun. Whoever wins this gets something. We got to have a prize. This is if your person wins, so it may not go to anybody, but if your person wins the classic that we're going to say right now, we need to have a prize to make it so where Andy's not like, I think a dark horse.
All right, I'll change that. I misunderstood.
What should we make it? Should we make it like what should it be? What should they get if you win?
It's got to be something expensive, right? It's the freaking classic, guys.
Yeah, I mean,
act like I made a money over here. I haven't.
Got to be something.
Speaking of which, Boomer, you still got to send your baits, dude.
I need the rust to truly take shape. It's almost there.
I want it to be cool just family heirlooms.
Yeah. Once the rust really sets in, I will.
Pack a box, send something
in the snow.
Sorry.
10 pair of Rapala pliers.
They're in there. They're part of the rust.
All right. I love it. All right, Andy, who's your pick?
I think I'm going to have to go my Group A pick in Brandon. I think he's long overdue for a classic victory. And if it's tough, he's going to catch him. So probably jerk baiting. And he's probably the one that said no to the scope rod.
I can't tell you that.
So I plead the fifth.
Boomer, what was that?
Say it again, Boomer, with your words.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny.
He said, I don't need no Mega Live. I got this.
Nope.
Deacon.
Dude, it is so for me between Stetson and Justin Hamner. Like it's Blaylock or Hamner to me are the two that are reaching out to me. And I think Hamner will do extremely well. And I think he will spend a lot of time jerk baiting. But I feel like Stetson is a little more versatile. And it always seems like at Grand, it'll be like jerk bait for 2 days and then run up the elk or something just out of the whack or on the bank or something. So man, I'm looking at Stetson to take it in 2024 Classic would be awesome.
Oh, yeah.
You copying me again?
No.
Come on, Bailey.
No. I'm going to. The obvious answer here for me is Jason Christie. I don't know how you can bet against him in this one.
You bet against him, pick Luke Palmer though.
Well,
yeah, that's exactly right. You quite literally bet against.
And it's home field. It's hard to win at home.
That's different. I mean, I was playing the game of fantasy fishing. Okay.
I don't understand playing the game part. We're trying to win here.
Yeah, different picks from other people. Like it's how you get the difference. Instead, you copied me off my paper.
I copied you off of your paper. That's what we're
fighting right now. You guys are fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you two married? No, just kidding.
I'm gonna call Mom.
I agree.
Christie, damn it.
I agree with what Bailey's saying and kind of what he did for like the whole fantasy fishing. Cause I remember like when I used to do it, I wouldn't pick locals much because I feel like with locals, you're either going to have them do really good or do really bad. So from the fantasy fishing standpoint, you don't get that consistent, like almost a lock.
It's true.
So I avoided locals a lot when I used to play just because of that, kind of always seems like how it goes. Usually locals in the top 20 or the bottom 20.
Hell yeah. Thanks for defending me, bro.
Anytime.
Hey, that makes some sense. I appreciate that commentary.
Made way more sense in my opinion.
Well, you just said the game of fantasy, and I didn't understand it.
Yes,
Now I understand.
And here I
Uh-huh.
was. I picked Patty Schlopper at first because I thought it was outside of the people that we picked. So that was my bad.
Yeah, well,
So-
I mean, I didn't pick Jason Christie in fantasy fishing going into this thing, anticipating all of you guys were going to pick Jason Christie.
Yeah.
I have my picks locked before we start this show. I don't change them up based on whoever else picks what. Cheekin.
None of mine have been changed.
Just kidding. All right, moving on. Brendan.
So I'm honestly convinced that both my fantasy team and Drain the Lake would be last in the country, ranked very last in the country, if it weren't for Ben Milliken. So the fishing gods are pointing right at Ben saying, pick this man. I'm picking that.
I like it. It's good. That's good reasoning.
Yep.
John, what about you?
I was between Stetson and Kyle Welcher. Since he went with Stetson, I'll go with Kyle Welcher.
All right. Boomer.
I get
Polnick.
All right.
I had a conversation with. I got a good story for you because this is the way he works. But I had a conversation with him a couple days ago, and I said, your record shows that you're going to get one in your career. There's just no way, right? A guy that's won that much. And I was just talking about keep your hopes up. It's going to happen in your career. And he was like, yeah, it'd be nice to get this one out of the way so I can get my second one coming too. Like he already thinks he's going to win like 4. He has so much confidence. And I'm like, I was just trying to be like, hey, keep your hopes up. You might win a classic. And he's like, well, if I'm going to win 3 or 4, I should probably start this year because I don't know how much longer I'm going to be at. That's the way his brain works.
That's awesome.
He's a velociraptor.
awesome.
Yeah.
I'd say the only asterisk on that is Roland Martin. When you talk about how much he's won and everything he's won, but never won a classic.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Hopefully he's not one. Hopefully he's not Roland Martin 2.0.
And
Toby
there's
gets
a
one.
lot of guys that have won a lot in their careers and never won a classic, right? Like probably the most famous one is Aaron Martin's.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just that
Think about that.
the point I was trying to make was the same that we all think it could happen. And he was already like, well, if I'm going to win, 3
I'm
or
getting
4,
4.
might as well start now.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, bro.
You got a coach.
Yeah.
All right, let's roll through from Andy down to Brennan here. We'll zigzag of weights. What do you guys got weights for winning this thing?
Hold on, sorry, I just changed it over. I have 64.6.
Deacon?
I have 60 pounds, 2 ounces.
All right, I got 64.12. Boomer, what you got?
62 even.
John, what's your guess?
58.7.
Oh, you Debbie Downer.
That was mine previous to this.
Brennan?
I've got 60 pounds, 3 ounces.
All right.
Always trying to one up me.
I think day 3's win will throw the curveball into getting a 60-pound back. Or
That's
60
exactly. I wanted to ask you that. I wanted to see if that.
because it's either going to be you got let's just say like a guy like Christie a little further behind going into day 3, and then maybe he exploits a bank bite that last day, but he didn't have enough weight on days 1 and 2 to get 60, and then vice versa. Maybe a scoper leads after 2 days, falls off on the last day because of that wind. I mean, it's hard to scope, and that anything over like 10, like when you get up to 20, it's like you better be fishing somewhere half protected on the lake.
I got 20, 17 kind of deal you're looking at. All right, let's run through Drain the Lake quick, and then we can start wrapping this thing up. Andy, what you got?
I got Ari Canterbury, Jason Christie, Fothergill, Hamner, Hackney, Palmer, and Smith.
Smith.
Bryant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Deacon?
I've got. Hold up. I'm sorry. I'm getting to my drain the lake.
You bastard.
Okay, I have. Gosh, where did it go? Okay, here we go.
Don't forget to input.
I've
your
got
special.
Airy, Luke. I've got Airy, Luke Palmer, Jason Christie, Easton Fothergill, Cody Huff. I'm sorry, not Cody Huff. Joey Nia, Brandon Polinick, Tyler Williams.
All right.
Oh, and Cody Huff. I do that. That's the 8th. Okay.
Pick a guy.
Sorry.
I got Jason Christie, Hamner, Joey Nania, Luke Palmer, Kyle Patrick, Rasmussen, Tyler Williams, and Kyle Welcher. What do you got, Boomer?
Blaylock, Airy, Christie, Joachimson, Polinick, Smith, as in Bryant Smith, Fothergill, and Nania. Pretty much the same thing you guys got.
Nice. John, we won't make you go make.
I'll just take the 8 guys with the highest percentages.
Yeah, yeah, there you go.
That's my strategy, man. Come on.
All right, Brennan. It's really working for you, Brennan.
Now you gotta take the guys at
Yeah.
least.
One of the best at being the worst.
That
in
was
the country.
brutal.
Yeah. One of the best at being one of the worst in the country. But I got Jason Christie, Justin Hamner, Cody Huff, Ben Milliken, Jay Shakira, Tyler Williams, Bob Downey, and Brandon Card.
I like that card pick, man.
Thank you.
Sneaky good.
All right. We missed anything? I think if there's anything. Big fish? What do you think big fish is going to be?
Oh, good question.
Over 6?
Yeah, I feel
Slightly.
like it usually is. It's usually like
7.
7, sometimes 8 on Grand.
It's never the guy that wins, though.
No, it's like
No.
Not
he
on
has like
Grand.
3 fish, and he'll have a giant
Yeah.
and like 2
What a
dinks.
freak. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Grant is such
say
a-
I'm gonna say 8-1. Just
Oh,
random
big.
number 8-1. Big.
That's a
big.
big one on Grand.
Yeah.
I like the enthusiasm.
It's the time of year, like that pre like they're coming into almost spawn, so they're going to be their biggest right now. So it's your best shot at an 8.
Deacon?
I'm gonna go 7-3.
Damn, I was going with that.
Better change it.
I'll go I'm gonna go 6-11. Boomer?
I'm going to take Clint Bartlett Fishing's recommendation and go 6-14.
Good
7-4.
choice.
7-4.
7-4.
One up in me. I like it.
Brennan?
It's going to be a 7 yonder even
On
Oh,
the dot.
on the dot.
I like it.
What question though? When KVD won the BPT at Grand, right? He won it a couple years ago. Didn't he have like a giant one of the days?
I don't know.
Wait, who won the
Didn't when the BPT went to Grand, isn't that one of Kevin's last wins? Or did he win?
No, he
a
won
chip?
chick. I don't know if he won grand.
I feel like he did.
I mean,
For
he won the elite there,
Yeah, I don't remember.
cranking for
I think-
bedfish.
Kevin's only win on
I thought he
BPT
won.
was chick.
Oh, you're probably right. I probably have the two mixed up, but I thought he had a giant.
The
I don't know.
the Toyota series last year, there was a 7-8 as big fish, and then day 2's big fish was a 6-13.
Someone just
So,
says, "Who is
right in line.
KVD?" If that's a serious question, I need you to leave the chat and never tune into the show. No, I was kidding.
Great, Bailey.
Yeah,
Just
I'm
getting
just
rid of our
kidding. I'm
followers.
just a joke. All right, well, boys, let's wrap this thing up. I'm pretty sure we covered just about everything. I guess one last thing is, I know Brennan, John, myself will be at the Classic, so make sure you look out for us. We'll be, I myself will be at X2 Power, Humminbird, Minn Kota, floating around some different booths. But I guess John, starting with you, where can people look? What should they look for if they're going to the Classic? Where will you be? Things like that.
Yeah, I'll be floating around, but I'll be in the Mercury booth, the Bass Pro Shops booth, Aquaview, Miller Tech, and a couple other ones just kind of bounce around here and there between Sunline, Spro, Gamakatsu, and just trying to hang out with some buddies and catch up with some people from booth to booth.
Heck yeah. I'll probably see you then because I think Omnia is splitting a booth with Aquaview this year.
Are they?
I believe so.
Yeah, I think Colt was saying they're running some sort of special through Omnia on an Aquaview system, camera system. So I think I was going to go for that time that they were going to announce it and maybe display it or something like that. I know we had talked about it, and then I wasn't going to be able to make it, but then now I'm going to be there. So we'll find out.
Well, come to the expo to check it out, or I'm sure follow Jonathan. I'm sure he'll have it on his social media as well. But Brendan, what about you, man? What should people look out for? It's Classic.
For me, nothing. I'm just going to be roaming the show floor, having a good time, hanging out. But yeah, I can't wait to see some new product get launched. But no, we don't have anything coming as far as Do It goes.
Brennan said he's going to be giving out free beers. So if you want free beer, Brennan said he's buying.
Yep. It's a cool deal. You buy me two, I buy you one. All day long, baby. Let's go.
Well played, sir.
I love it.
All day.
Great.
Bring it
I don't
out.
have to use it.
Well, boys, that was fun. Classic week, always exciting. Looking forward to seeing everybody down there. If you guys do come near the X2 Power booth or see me anywhere around the expo, chances are I will have some Serious Angler and Business from the Bass Boat merch with me, specifically some hats. So it's first come, first serve. We hand those out if you guys see me. So come on by if you're coming to the Classic. Reach out, and looking forward to seeing everybody there. Fellas, anything else? All right, let's wrap this sucker up. We'll see y'all next week.